வணக்கம்.
வணக்கம்.
நான் உங்கள் ஜெசிகா.
நான் உங்கள் கவிதா.
நீங்க எல்லாரும் நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா?
நீங்கள் எல்லாரும் பத்திரமா இருக்கீங்கன்னு நாங்கள் நம்புகிறோம். அண்ட் இன்னைக்கு நம்ம என்ன பேச போகிறோன்னா சைல்ட் அப்யூஸ் பற்றி ப்ரீஃபாக பேச போகிறோம். ஸோ ரீசெண்ட்லி உங்கள் எல்லாத்துக்குமே நல்லா தெரியும், 2 monthsக்கு முன்னாடி என்ன நடந்ததுன்னா 2 cases. ஒன்று புதுக்கோட்டையில் ஒரு குழந்தைய ரேப் பண்ணி கொண்டுட்டாங்க. ஸோ 7 years old girl is being raped and sexual assaulted by 25 years old man. And அவங்கள அரெஸ்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அண்ட் another one 13 years old girl கெரோசின் ஊற்றி எரிச்சு கொலை செய்யப்பட்டிருக்காங்க. ஸோ those incidents, they are really brutal and very horrible things happening around in India, especially in Tamil Nadu. நிறைய விஷயம் நம்ம ரிப்போர்ட் பண்ணுறாங்க, நிறைய விஷயம் they're not even reporting. இஸ் எவ்ரிடே இட்ஸ் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகிட்டே இருக்குது. ஸோ இன்றைக்கி நாங்கள் அதை பற்றி தான் பேச போகிறோம்.
So in this chapter, we're going to talk about the global magnitude and characteristics of child abuse. We're going to talk about the current situation in India. We are also going to mention the signs and types of child abuse, the things that we should do when a child reveals abuse.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to briefly talk about, and statistical analysis we're going to discuss with you, and also what are how can we compliant when child being abused. There's a child abuse cases not being reported. That's not really good. So we need to, parents need to increase. So that's what we're going to talk about briefly. Come, let's go.
Okay. So what is sexual abuse? When a child or a young person is sexually abused, they are forced or tricked into sexual activities. Sometimes they do not understand that what's happening is abuse or that it's wrong, and they are afraid to tell someone about it. So globally, 1/4 of all adults report having been sexually abused as children. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 13 men were physically abused as children.
Okay, let's see Indian child abuse statistical analysis. So we have reviewed the data between Jan 2019 to June 2019. So 4,000 in a month and 130 in a day, which means it almost one child being abused in every 5 minutes. It's been a lot. And also the other report says 94.8% of this child abuser is not from outside, it's from well-known person to the child, and 35.8% of them they are neighbors. The abusers, they are not far away, they are just neighbors. And also 10% of the abusers, they are direct relative to the family. So it's been a lot. And also in India, 53% of the children, they are facing some kind of sexual abuse. So that's the data they've been proved, and it's against the human rights of the child. It's really serious. And also another report says that only 6% of the child abuse being reported. Not much. See, just only 6%. The child or the parent, they're not coming out, they don't want to talk about it. So here we're gonna talk about briefly what is actually child abuse, how can we identify if your child being abused, and how can we protect the child, and also how can we raise the complaints. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the types of sexual abuse. There are 2 types of sexual abuse: contact and non-contact sexual abuse. And this can happen in person or online. As regards to contact abuse, it's where an abuser makes physical contact with a child. This can include kissing, touching, or oral sex, so it's not just penetrative. And as regards to non-contact abuse, it's where a child is abused without being touched by an abuser. And this can happen in person or online. and it includes exposing, flashing, showing pornography.
Yeah. So there are the signs of sexual abuse. There's two types. One is like emotional and behavior sign, and another one is physical signs. In emotional and behavior signs, or like avoiding being alone or frightened of people, and language or sexual behavior which you wouldn't expect them to know, and having nightmare or bedwetting, and alcohol or drug misuse and self-harming, and changes in their eating habit or developing eating problem, and also changes in their mood. Sometimes they just get angry, and they feel like irritating or anything out of ordinary. If you're a child acting this all the way, so you must know that these are like emotional and behavior signs of sexual abuse. And physical signs of sexual abuse are like bruises, bleeding, discharge, and sexual transmitted infections and pregnancy, and these are the physical signs. Yeah.
Yes, it is important to be aware of these signs because knowing them can help give a voice to children. What to do if a child reveals abuse? So first of all, listen carefully to what they are saying. Let them know that they have done the right thing by telling you. Let them know that it's not their fault. Say that they will be okay, and then you will take them seriously. So do not confront the abuser. Say what you will do next. And remember, you have to report what the child has told you as soon as possible. You have to report it.
Yeah. And also, I'm not sure how many of you are aware about this law in India. So if you know that child been abused, and also if you have the information, if you didn't go to the police or if you didn't go and report, so you will be in prison for 6 months, and they will fine you for not telling about the child abuse to the police or to the right person. Yeah, that's an important thing everyone need to know. So it's not only the parents, it's all of our responsibility to report when you've seen or when you heard about the child abuse. If you have enough information, you must go and report. Remember that child abuse always has effects on children. Those are anxiety and depression, and eating disorders, and post-traumatic stress, and difficulty coping with stress, self-harming, and suicidal thoughts and suicide. Also, like feeling of shame and guilt, and drug and alcohol problem, and also relationship problem with family especially. So these are the effects your children will have.
They can be long-term or short-term effects. Remember, both boys and girls can be sexually abused. Yeah, most children who have been sexually abused were abused by someone they know, as Kavita mentioned at the beginning. It could be a friend, a family member, or someone who has targeted them, like a teacher, sport coach. And those children who have been sexually abused online could be abused by someone they know, or a stranger who builds a relationship with them. And some children are more at risk of sexual abuse, like children with disabilities. They are more likely to be sexually abused because they are unable to tell what's happening, or they do not understand what's happening to them is abuse. And some abusers target children who are isolated or being neglected by their parents or carers.
Yeah, that's right. And also it's our responsibility to know how to prevent sexual abuse. There are like few basic things, and everyone aware about it, but it's our responsibility to make sure everyone know that. The number one is talk to children about staying safe. It's everyone's responsibility. Maybe it's your cousin, nephew, niece, any whatever the relationship is. You need to talk to them. How can they stay safe wherever they go? Because child abuse happening like home, orphanage, school, and transport like buses, train, anywhere it can happen. So we need to, it's our responsibility to talk to the children how they can stay safe, and also like help keep children stay safe online. So which means like you don't know what they're watching online, and you don't know who they are talking to, and you don't know how they're abusing online. So for that, just make sure that you just put the computer in the family space, and you can put the webcam for like make sure they are safe, and make sure they just they doing the general thing, not like abnormal thing. So those are the important things. You need to just make sure they are playing, or they just having like a good communication with their friends or whatever. And also like keeping the disabled children safe, because they like Jessie mentioned that they don't know how to like communicate even if they've been abused. So as a parents, we are sure that like you always worry about them and keep them safe, but it's also our responsibility that just make sure they are safe. And if they just find any symptoms, if they just find any abnormal behavior from them, so you just make sure you need to just find a way to just report it. And these are the important like prevention activities that you need to do. It's like it's not a prevention, it's like every parent, they must teach these things to their children. And also the very important thing is they need to these all the prevention, and also the child rights and child abuse, what are the types and everything need to be taught in school, because these are the basic information. Like we children have all the rights to know about this, so that like they know if something happened, like in like strange things happen to them, so they know what to do. And also like they know where to report, or they know how to communicate to the parents and all, instead of they scared of them just hiding away from the parents. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay, so there are, if you're in India, if you're finding difficulties to raise a complaint, and here there are few information which given by the governments. Yeah, so one is like you just contact the police and register and report your child abuse case, or you just call 100. The police contact number is 100 in India. So if you contact them, and they need to register your case. If the police fail to register a FIR, so you can write an application to Superintendent of Police under section 154 of CRPC. So they must take action immediately. They need to investigate your case. And also, like in India, we have a committee called National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. So you can find their website link in our description box. And from there, if you go to their website, you can find the complaint link. So if you go there, so you can find a national address, the committee address. You can send your application, your complaint to them. So it's their responsibility. They must take an action for any child abuse cases. Raise the issue, raise the complaint if your child being abused, or if you know someone like any child being abused, if you know the information, you need to just tell the right person to just take a correct action.
Yes, you have to. Yes, you have to report it. Please, you have to report it. Remember, you are capable.
You are enough.
You are sane.
You have a voice.
You are valuable.
Always keep this in your mind.
And see you in next video.
See you. Take care. Bye bye.